Knoxville Raceway, where even a consolation race is bigger than most. How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elson, and this is Midco Motorsports. While nothing could ever take the place of the Knoxville Nationals, a three-day World of Outlaws event certainly helped ease the pain of this year's postponement. This week's A feature is the one and only, which featured an especially star-studded field of drivers fighting for a piece of the richest purse in sprint car racing for 2020.
Points were worth almost as much as the dollars over the first 2 days of this event, which meant hard racing even in the heat races. Shane Golobic and Cale Thomas can attest to that. Both guys were okay there, as was Kerry Madsen, the 360 Nationals champ, able to walk away after that violent tumble on the backstretch. Moving ahead to the start of Thursday's main event, and it's Logan Schuchart taking the lead ahead of Aaron Reitzel. Darren Pittman quickly worked his way up to third, but his run hits a snag later on. The 83 losing its grip between turns 3 and 4, leading to a 20th place finish for Pittman. More trouble on the ensuing restart. Corey Eliason gets sideways in front of Brad Sweet. A total of 4 cars get collected in that mess, including Donny Schatz. When racing resumed, Kyle Larson took over. Lap 18, he throws the hard slider at Schuchart for the lead, and it sticks. Larson left Schuchart with a little front end damage there, but he drives on to win his 4th straight main event at Knoxville Raceway, while Schuchart settles for second. Larson isn't the only guy in this field who's had some big wins at the sprint car capital of the world. David Gravel beat Larson to win last year's Knoxville Nationals, and those two at it again Friday. Gravel settled into the top spot off the start, but it was anything but comfortable over the last half of the race. Look at Larson all over him on the white flag lap, in traffic no less. But Gravel never buckled. Precision driving at its finest as he fights off Larson to win night 2 of the one and only. But of course, Saturday was the one that really mattered. $50K at stake in the annual Capitani Classic. Larson on the pole after winning the dash, and once he outran Reitzel for the initial lead, he put the 57 on cruise control. More domination from one of the best wheelmen in the business as Kyle Larson drives away from everyone to complete another incredible weekend. His 5th win of the season at Knoxville, being the most lucrative of them all.
Well, fresh off his latest run at Knoxville, Donny Schatz is now shifting his focus to his home state. Brian Shawn will catch up with the 10-time World of Outlaws champion when Midco Motorsports rolls on.
Midco Motorsports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dacotah Speedway.
Donny Schatz loves racing all over the country, but there is no place like home. Midco SN's Brian Shawn caught up with the 10-time World of Outlaws champion to get his thoughts on what's been a crazy 2020 season and some of the extra challenges he's faced. It's this week's Inside Track, and it's presented by Dacotah Speedway.
All right, we're here with the 10-time World of Outlaws champion, Donny Schatz. The Outlaws coming to North Dakota for the first time after having the show in Grand Forks canceled earlier in the season. And that was kind of the name of the game, I guess, Donny, is so many cancellations in March, April, and May. And we weren't sure when you guys are going to get racing again. I think 50 shows and all have been canceled, but at least we've gotten over 30 in. So to some degree, at least we're still racing.
Yeah, you have to look at it this year from any aspect you can. I'm not sure what the numbers are. You probably know them better than me. I know this time of the year we were just speaking, we normally come to North Dakota, we head to Washington, head through to Rapid City, Montana, but that's not happening. We're going to be parked here in the Midwest for the next couple weeks, and we're racing. That's the important part. Hopefully we can finish up this season and go back to somewhat normal someday and get back to racing as usual.
And I know this last weekend in Knoxville had a 3-day show. The one and only, it was called the Knoxville Nationals, postponed the 60th annual till next summer, but it was still a pretty good show for 3 days. I know you had to come all the way from the C to come all the way back to get 12th in the A. You put a lot of laps on that car on Saturday night. Yeah,
it was a really challenging week for us. Compared to the normal national situation, they split the cars to go one night half one night, half the next. In this scenario, everybody raced all 3 nights, so it made it harder on the racers. It was definitely tougher on equipments and the engines and the crew guys. And, we just didn't have the best of weeks. We were sitting 21st going into Saturday in points, which would have been the pole, the B main on a regular nationals format. And, we had to start at the back because we didn't finish our qualifier from a failure in heat race. So it is what it is. I really hope it's the one and only, but we'll see what happens. Like I said, everybody just like to get back to normal and not worry about all these things that are out of our control.
Well, you had talked about how hard it is on the equipment, and it is the first season that you are fully running the Tony Stewart Ford Performance engine. And I mean, there's probably going to be some hiccups along the way when you're going through a full season with a new engine. How's that changed, I guess, with a different engine program and gear ratios, all that stuff? It changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, you take criticism, whether it's good, whether it's bad. I know the process that's we've gone through from the ground up when this started, and I challenge anyone to try it. It's if it doesn't break you, it'll make you for sure. We've had the best people involved, and they're doing a great job. And we've had to go different directions with things. You can't compare what we had to what we have now. That's the unique part, and you have to learn it along the way. And once you get there, obviously it's something that's different from what else is out there. This industry has gotten so, I wouldn't say cookie cutter, but the one thing you can say about it is let's take a camshaft, for instance. We work hard to try to get our motors to throttle and run a certain way. And you get that, and it might take you 6 engine rebuilds to get it, and then when you get it, the cam company decides to sell that cam to your competitors after you went through the blood, sweat, and tears to get there. And that's just the way this game is. So in the long run, I think the process we've taken will be good for Tony Stewart Racing and myself and what's going on. But yeah, there's learning curves, there's hiccups along the way, as to be expected. So all you can do is, we've got the best group of guys there is. They're working their tail off, and we'll just keep plugging away. That's all we can do.
And battling for that 11th title, you're right in the thick of things again. And I know you're not probably paying attention to a whole lot of points right now. You still got hopefully a lot of races to run here, but it's been interesting to see the ups and downs I think everybody has had on the Outlaw Tour this year.
Yeah, it's I don't think you could dramatize a championship battle any more than what it is right now. It's could go any direction of 5 ways. We've had several DNFs. Brad's had several DNFs. There's a lot of guys in the mix, and you don't know what's going to happen. They've already made it clear that if someone ends up with COVID, they're going to lock the points down, and that's always in the back, I think, of everybody's mind. But the way this year has gone, I'm not even concerned about what happens. We're in a building stage. We need to take every night and learn from it and do our best, and hopefully we'll work on next year's building process as well.
Well, it's good to have you back in North Dakota, at least for this weekend, and we wish you the best of luck, Donny.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you, Brian. Schatz currently sits 3rd in the World of Outlaws standing, 62 points behind Logan Schuchart. Well, Schatz isn't the only talking point heading into the Outlaws double dip in North Dakota. Brian and I will be back with a quick weekend preview after this. And welcome back. Well, the wait has been a little longer than normal, but that will be of little consequence to sprint car fans in North Dakota this weekend as the World of Outlaws get set to invade River Cities and Red River Valley Speedways on Friday and Saturday. For more on that, we bring back our good buddy Brian Shawn, who joins us from our West Fargo studio. Brian, there was a time when we weren't sure this annual North Dakota trip was even going to happen this year. So, in your opinion, what does that add to the weekend all in itself?
Well, Jay, I think it's exciting that they're coming for 2 shows in the state because, again, Red River Valley Speedway was not on the initial schedule. That was not going to be a place the Outlaws came. And then the first run at River City Speedway in Grand Forks was canceled back in early June. So this is the first time folks have had a chance to see the Outlaws. And for the tracks in these 2 areas in the state, you get a good chance for the fans, the drivers, and everybody to come back. I think there's a lot of anticipation and excitement for that.
Absolutely. Let's talk competition now. We've already heard from Donny Schatz, and he is always a contender in his home state. But In addition to him, who else do you think has a good chance to pick up a win or two this weekend?
Well, I think Logan Schuchart and Shark Racing in general they've probably been the most consistent team, really, when you look from start to right now in the season. But David Gravel is always a threat. He's won a race at River City Speedway. Brad Sweet is always a threat. I think there's other guys that have been in the mix, that have been right there with opportunities to win. But I would have to say right now, Schuchart's a guy, again, won last year up in River City Speedway, but Donny Schatz has won 4 of the last 6 races up there. And the last time that the Outlaws raced at Red River Valley Speedway back in 2018, Schatz won that race as well. So he's got a lot to prove, I think, and certainly with the points situation the way it is, things are getting very interesting here towards the end of August.
Well, specifically with River City Speedway, too. I mean, you hear Johnny Gibson, the announcer, talk about it all the time. This is one of their favorite places to come, Brian. What is it about River Cities that the Outlaws love so much and make it a point to get there every year whenever possible?
You know, people forget, Jay, the fastest ever lap turn in an Outlaw race was at River City Speedway by Jason Myers several years ago. I mean, they can really cook around this track, and the way it's banked, things can change. They can still get 3 wide on this little bull ring, and the way it's banked and the short straightaways and the way you got to wheel, things can change in a hurry from lap to lap, and you really got to fight the car and fight the track for the entire 40-lap feature that's out there. So I think the drivers really appreciate this place. You know, things can go haywire in a hurry, and you can also make up ground in a hurry as well. So with lap traffic always in the mix, it's an entertaining place to watch an outlaw race, absolutely.
Well, and there's one other development. We're running out of time here, but we've got to touch on this. And that's while Mark Dobmeier will not be able to race this weekend because he's, of course, continuing to recover from that back injury he suffered earlier this summer. His trademark number 13 car will be in action both nights with the legendary Sammy Swindell behind the wheel. Not a bad substitute, huh?
I think that's pretty cool that he's coming up here for these 2 shows and the 2 shows coming to Houston Speedway, Jay. And I think the special thing about it is the back injury that Dobmeier sustained. Sammy's son, Kevin, had a very similar wreck and actually was paralyzed from a very similar accident. So I think there is a connection there, and I think it'll be special for Sammy, and I think for Mark, too, to have his car back out on the track for these 2 shows this weekend.
All right, good stuff, Shawn. Should be a fun couple of nights for sure. The second leg of the Northern Tour starts Friday night at River Cities before moving on to West Fargo for the Red River Rumble on Saturday. Racing both nights starts at 7:30. Well, the quality of any dirt track show hinges on what happens to the surface before the races even start. Coming up next, we'll take a closer look at what track prep really entails. On the surface, prepping a track for race night seems like a pretty straightforward task. A little water, maybe some tilling, and you're all set. But the reality is, it takes days to get a surface just right for racing, and even then, it's tough to make everyone happy. Midco SM producer Marty Mueller recently spent some time with the crew at River City Speedway to see how they go about bringing the legendary bull ring to life. eager to see just how fast they make that track for Friday's World of Outlaws show. Well, we have reached the white flag. We'll wrap things up with quick stops at Jamestown and Devil's Lake after this.
Midco Motorsports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dacotah Speedway.
Marlon Seidler has been in the race game a long time, 38 seasons to be exact. But he hasn't exactly slowed down. Entering last weekend, the Underwood, North Dakota native had already raced over 50 times in 2020, with 3 wins to his credit. 2 of those came at Jamestown Speedway, where Seidler would try his hand again Saturday night.
Seidler's was one of over 100 cars that checked in on back-to-school night in Jamestown. Leanne Christensen and the Bombers led things off. Lap 4, Matthew Dukeshire wrangles the top spot away as he nudges past Christensen on the inside. But his lead wasn't safe either, because the guy everyone has been chasing of late had found his way to the front yet again. Bismarck's A.J. Davenport masters the single-file restart to complete the pass, and he drives on to collect his 4th consecutive win at Jamestown. To the Midwest Modifieds, and another early change at the front as Lucas Rodin pilots the 19 past the 32 of Lindsey Hansen. But he would have to hit the brakes 4 laps later as the yellow flies for a big pileup in turn 2. Ensuing restart, here comes Reese Stenberg. The 87S wins a quick little battle with Rodin to take over the lead, and he would stay out front the rest of the way. 2nd win of 2020 for Stenberg, but his 1st at Jamestown Speedway. Brian Hansen rolled to the front for the early part of the Legends feature, but his reign didn't last long. Ty Wilkie replaces Hansen at the point with a strong move in turns 3 and 4. Usually, that would be all she wrote, but this time, Wilkie, who'd won 5 of the first 6 in Jamestown, couldn't close. Alex Kukowski made sure of that. Kukowski, who'd finished between 2nd and 10th in each of his first 16 starts this season, finally gets that elusive 1st win. Seidler and those IMCA Modifieds would cap off the night, and it was Alan Kent moving to the front of the pack off the start. Kent would build a pretty good lead, but Seidler was surging. He moves past Lucas Rodin for 2nd on lap 9, and then catches a big break a short time later when the caution lights come on for Dwight Wegner. That bunched up the field, and Seidler took full advantage. A great run on the bottom helps him edge out Kent, and that was all he needed. 67-year-old Marlon Seidler follows Friday's win at Dacotah with his 3rd of the year in Jamestown and the 98th for his career with the IMCA.
I think we won 8 or 9 last year and got closer to the, to the goal. And this year, I think this is number 4 for the year here, or this is number 3 here in Jamestown. We won one last night in Mandan. So, confidence. Yeah, the more you win, the more confidence you get. But at my age, I've pretty much wore everything out.
To Devil's Lake now, Dusty Lawson set a furious pace in the Western Renegades non-wing sprint feature, but Miles Tomlinson would exceed that pace with 6 to go. Tomlinson uses the bottom to overtake Lawson for the lead. The 20L kept the pressure on all the way to the wire, but Tomlinson just manages to hold on for his 3rd win of the season. The Wissota Street Stocks provided a great 2-way battle between the 33 of Daniel Aberle and the 4-car driven by Trey Hess. Hess hassled Aberle throughout, and that persistence finally paid off as they turned for home. Hess muscles by Aberle on the inside to steal his 4th Wissota victory of 2020.
All right, that is a wrap on another season of Midco Motorsports. For Brian, Shawn, Marty Mueller, our producer Levi Vanderwady, and the rest of our crew, I'm Jay Elson. Thanks so much for watching.